Well, we've got your back this morning. You might not realize it, but it's actually National Assisted Living Week. And many folks, maybe they think planning to move into an assisted living facility, you got to wait until maybe you're a little bit older. But the truth is, it's always a good idea to plan ahead. And also, you might be moving in your loved ones too. So we've got Connecticut Eldercare attorney Henry Weatherby. He's here live this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And you've got all the top tips, all the top questions people need to be asking before they, move their loved ones into an assisted living facility. What are the most important questions to ask?
Well, the biggest thing that gets in the way of people planning this is they're afraid of what it's going to cost. And quite frankly, long-term care insurance was designed for that. It's a product's been on the market for about 30 years, and if you plan ahead, it can be one of the best ways to take care of those costs.
At what time do you think you should be investing in something like that?
Well, mostly we see people starting in the 50s or 60s is usually the best time to begin looking at whether or not it makes sense in your situation.
So the biggest thing for you is kind of figuring out how people can afford it. Is that that's the question that looms over many?
Well, that's one of the big ones, but the real problem is all too often people haven't done anything to plan about who's going to help them make these decisions, because all too often we reach a point where we can no longer manage our own financial affairs, or we can't really make our own healthcare decisions any longer. And so everybody, in my opinion, should be considering putting these planning pieces in place once they're adults, essentially at 18.
Wow, that's very young.
Well, yes, it is very young, but if we look at the people who've created the case law that have given us the right to have a living will and whatever, as it happens, they've all been young women, typically in their 20s, when they had a catastrophic health issue where they needed somebody else to make these decisions. So if you do it at 18, that's when the law first lets you do it, then you're beginning to deal with it.
And you should really pick a point person, right, to be able to help make these decisions?
Well, yes, you need to name that person that you can feel you can trust and rely upon their judgment. But even more importantly, you need to have had a conversation with those people about what your wishes are and what you want, and then have planning documents that support and go along with your exact wishes.
These are not often fun things to talk about, but obviously very necessary. Is there a great way to approach it?
Well, we in our practice spend a whole lot of time educating people so that they actually can have these conversations. They understand the consequences of not doing anything and the different levels of planning that are available. Everybody has a plan. You can't not have one. The legislature furnished that in the form of a conservatorship if you don't do anything at all. And then you can end up with a situation rarely as bad as Terry Schiavo, but you do end up with less than optimal results.
Well, thank you so much, Connecticut Eldercare attorney Henry Weatherby. Thank you so much. Some great information. And for more, you can always head to our website, WTNH.com. Just go on that on-air tab, pull it down to the Good Morning Connecticut Weekend section.